this episode, we are hitting the road, heading halfway across the country to the Oxford gaming market. But that's not all. We're also hitting up some local game shops a little bit closer to home. And I get help from a friend who's been hitting up their local CEX stores in order to help me complete the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. Hello again, folks, and welcome back to the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. My challenge for 2024 to try and find all 256 power-released PlayStation 2 Platinum games. And we are starting off with some good news. The shelves are in place. Unfortunately, bad news so far. I have not alphabetized these games, but fear not, we've got a lot more games this time to add to the collection. That's because in this episode, we'll be hitting up Oxford gaming market. And without a shadow of a doubt, these gaming markets are one of the very best places to find PlayStation 2 Platinum games. But that's not all. We'll also be hitting up an independent gaming store a little bit closer to home, my local car boot, loads of CEX stores, and we have an amazing find from a friend of the channel. First things first, a bit of an update. As you can see, we have all the shelves in place now. All I need to do is just alphabetize these games. And here's the thing, we have a lot of Platinum games now. At the end of the last episode, we ended on 150 games. That means we just have 106 left to find. So, without further ado, let's get back on the hunt. Just before we head off to Oxford Gaming Market, I want to remind you folks, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and please subscribe, as I put new videos out every Saturday live at 5, as well as bonus content throughout the week, and I really want you folks along for the ride. And remember, if you ever miss an episode of the Platinum Project PlayStation 2, fear not, I'll link them all down below in the playlist. Oxford is about a 3.5 hour drive from Norwich, which meant it was an early start to get to Oxford for 11 AM, which is when the doors open for early bird ticket entry. But honestly, the sun was out, it was a lovely day, and honestly, there was barely any traffic on the way, and I couldn't really complain, and I was super excited to get to Oxford, not just for the gaming market, but to also go around some other CEX stores, which we'll come to later in this episode. This was my first time in Oxford, and this is one of the most picturesque walks I think I've ever had from a car park to a gaming market. Walking alongside rivers and canals, it was really nice to see some greenery and to have a little bit of peace before I was expecting carnage of the gaming market. Normally these are super busy when you get there, and I was pleasantly surprised by the length of this queue. Yes, it does look pretty long, but of all the gaming markets I've been to, this one looked like it had the shortest queue. It looked fairly quiet, and again, it was a really nice day, so you know, spirits were high. I was excited to get in there and get on the hunt. It was going to be a good day, and we didn't have to wait long to get in. About 5 or 10 minutes in the queue, and just after 11 we were on the hunt. Now, this is probably one of the smallest gaming markets I've ever been to, but this is the thing. Much like hunting in CEX, it's not about the size of the gaming market, it is about what you can find. And today, of course, we are on the hunt for Platinum games. So, of course, today we are on the hunt for PlayStation 2 Platinum games to cross off the list. But keep an eye on the channel, because in future I will be doing my other gaming hunt from this gaming market. And trust me, I managed to find some absolutely incredible things. But for now, let's just cross those fingers that we can find some Platinum games to cross off the list. I wasn't sure if I had this game, but I did, so I did move on. And spoiler alert, there was a very good selection of PlayStation 2 games here, including a lot of Platinum games. You will see periodically, my good friend and fellow YouTuber PS Too Many Games was here with me for the gaming market, and of course he was on the hunt for his complete PlayStation 2 PAL collection. Yes, you heard me correctly, he is going for a complete PlayStation 2 collection. So if you've not checked out his channel, make sure you go check it out, subscribe. It's going to be a crazy journey. It didn't take us long to find our first game to cross off the list, The Lord of the Rings Return of the King. I'm amazed I haven't found this game already, but here it is, complete with the manual and the Platinum disc. I was actually surprised how expensive this game is now, around £6, which I know doesn't sound overtly expensive, but most Platinum games are fairly cheap. That is the exact same price it would be in CX, so I grabbed worth it. The thing is, when you are hunting at gaming markets, you are going to see a lot of games, and the best way to make sure you don't miss out on any games is just to get stuck in, to start going through the general boxes, the bags, the tables, and just hunting for platinum games. In this case, I just had to look everywhere to try and find games to cross off the list. There were some really good prices here, some really good games, but remember, I'm trying to find these games complete and they have to have the platinum disc. That is an absolute given. I'm really hoping to find them with the manual also. Now, this is a really, I would say, kind of annoying way to store games, but I had to pull this one out as I needed to cross this one off the list right here. This is the final Call of Duty game we need for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2, Call of Duty World at War Final Fronts. Yes, it has the Platinum disc. Yes, it has the manual. I'm definitely picking that one up as it'd be absolutely fantastic to finish off the Call of Duty franchise once and for all. Like I said, it can be very easy to miss games when you are hunting at gaming markets, and there was another game hiding here which I very nearly missed. Now, I wouldn't have expected this to be a very uncommon game. It's just a game which I've never seen before, and of course it had to be near the bottom of the pile here. It is Toka Race Driver 2. And does it have the disc? Yep, platinum disc and manual, definitely picking that one up. Now, this is a game which isn't on our list, but lo and behold, here we have the platinum release of Transformers the game. And yes, it does have the platinum disc, so it's another one not to cross off the list, but to add to the list. Here's the thing, we may only be about a third of the way through 2024, which of course means we are about a third of the way through the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. But it is getting harder and harder to find games which we need to cross off the list. We have just over 100 games left to find, and every time we do find one of these games, it just makes it harder. So far, we have crossed over 150 games off the list, but the closer we get to that grand total of 256 games, the harder it's going to be to find these games. We are slowly crossing off more of the common games, more of the uncommon games, even more of the rare games. We are just coming down now to the games you never ever see, and these are the hard ones to find. But of course, it's not just games here at Oxford Gaming Market. There is also a very good selection of both consoles and peripherals. I did have a good look at that platinum PlayStation 2 console as such, but I think I'm going to hold out to try and find one box. So if you ever see one, let me know. So that was Oxford Gaming Market, and like I said, this was the first time I had visited, and I will definitely be visiting again in the future. It was an absolutely awesome day, and whilst it is a lot smaller than a lot of the gaming markets here in the UK, therein lied the beauty of it. It was a lot quieter. There was a lot more space. It was easier to browse and easier to shop. And more importantly than that, we had managed to find a few more games to cross off that list of 256 platinum games. So let's head back to the games room and check out the pickups. Here we are then, back in the games room from Oxford Gaming Market. And it's not the last time we'll be in Oxford this episode. Stay tuned as we'll be visiting Oxford CEX later on. But for now, we have some absolutely incredible pickups from Oxford Gaming Market. Our first game is this game right here, Lord of the Rings Return of the King. And this is an absolute bona fide banger. It is one of my favourite couch co-op games of the PlayStation 2 generation and a must-have for anyone's PS2 collection. This is a game I am very excited to cross off the list, Call of Duty World at War The Final Fronts. That's because this is the final, for lack of a better term, Call of Duty game which we need for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. Here's one which I'm very happy to cross off the list as I've never seen this game before, Toka Race Driver 2, and at £3, a nice cheap one to cross off the list. We have one last game from Oxford Gaming Market, and again it is a cheap banger. Now I would cross this one off the list, but in fact we have to add Transformers the movie to the list. That's because this one is not on the list. As I've said all along, to the best of my knowledge, this is the complete list of all PlayStation 2 Platinum games released here in the PAL region. This one is not on the list, so it's another one to add to the list. Oxford Gaming Market was a success and we managed to cross 4 more games off the list. It may not seem like many, but as we get deeper and deeper into the Platinum Project PlayStation 2, it is harder and harder to find these games, and honestly, gaming markets are some of the best places to find these games. As well as gaming markets, one of my favourite places to hunt for PlayStation 2 Platinum games is in any of the absolutely incredible independent gaming stores which we have here in the UK. And I really want to shine a spotlight on as many of these stores as possible with this series. So let's head to our store for this episode, just down the road from Norwich and Attleborough. This is Omega's Emporium. A short drive down the A11 from the fine city of Norwich, nestled in the heart of Attleborough, is Omega's Emporium, a relatively new independent gaming shop here in the UK, and a shop which I've seen grow from strength to strength over the course of the years. I think they've been open around 2 years now, and the shop just gets better all the time. They have an amazing selection of both retro and modern video games, and I just love the way they display everything. It's so easy to see the games. A lot of stores just seem to pack the shelves way too much. But here at Omega's Emporium, you can see everything from the consoles to the video games. It's kind of minimalist and I really like it. It's just so easy to shop and build a collection at Omega's Emporium. In the back of the store, as well as an absolutely massive selection of retro games, they also have 2 TVs in which you can try your games out. They have both a CRT and an HD TV, so you can literally try before you buy, which is absolutely fantastic that you can try these games out and be 100% happy with your purchases from Omega's Emporium. It's a great way to play before you pay. And heading over to the glass cabinet of dreams, there is some decent high-end titles in here and a massive selection. We are talking from Atari to Xbox and everything in between. Today we are mainly looking for PlayStation 2 Platinum games, but trust me, whatever you are looking for, Omega's Emporium have you covered. We are talking PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 5. We are talking all of the Xboxes. We are talking retro Nintendo greatness. They always seem to have an absolutely amazing selection of boxed and complete Mega Drive and SNES games. They just seem to source some absolutely fire merchandise, absolutely fantastic stuff, some real rarities, and these glass cabinets of dreams are literally what dreams are made of. Let's move over to the PlayStation 2 section and see if we can cross some Platinum games off the list. And straight away, I did think I needed Crash Twinsanity, but it's not the final Crash game we need. We need Crash of the Titans. So get in touch if you have a copy of that game. It just seems to be one of the lesser seen Crash games. But it doesn't take us long to find a game which we sorely needed for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. FIFA Street 2. And honestly, it amazes me how hard it is to find FIFA games. You would have thought FIFA games would be super duper easy to find, but honestly, I've still got loads of these left to find. Omega's Emporium has a really good selection of PlayStation 2 games, and unfortunately I thought we were only going to manage to cross one off the list this time. But here's the thing I love about retro video game stores. You have to get stuck in and really hunt around, and in one of the sections they're still sorting in here, I found another PlayStation 2 Platinum game hiding. And this is a game which we have been looking for a very long while. Or so I thought. So I saw this game on the shelf, James Bond 007 and Agent Under Fire. But I checked my list, which is when I discovered we didn't need Crash Twinsanity, and realised that this game on the shelf was the one we needed. 007 Everything or Nothing, which means this game from Omega's Emporium is the final Bond game we need. Here we are then, back in the games from another road trip, but this time it was a little bit close to home, just down the road from Norwich and Attleborough at Omega's Emporium. And if you are ever in the area, definitely pay them a visit. They have an absolutely incredible selection of retro games, and there's definitely something there which you'll want for your collection. And even better, we managed to pick up 2 Platinum games for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. Our first pickup from Omega's Emporium is a game which I'm surprised we haven't found sooner. It is FIFA Street 2. And here's the thing, I thought the FIFA games would be super easy to find, but it just seems like these are difficult to find. I have no idea why, but I think we still have about 8 FIFA games to cross off the list, so I'm just glad to cross one more off today. Our second game from Omega's Emporium is this game right here, James Bond Everything or Nothing, and this is exciting for 2 reasons. Firstly, this is the final James Bond game which we need for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. But even more importantly, with adding this game to the collection, it now means we just have 100 PlayStation 2 Platinum games left to find. We are absolutely smashing through this list, and honestly, it's some of the amazing independent gaming shops like Omega's Emporium that I have to thank for getting me this far. I also have to thank everyone who has reached out to donate, sell or trade games for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2, and I'm excited to say today we have even more games from you viewers to cross off the list. Let's jump straight into this first package, and this is from a viewer of the channel called Bill. Now I know there's 2 games in here, but there's also something else which is super important for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2, but we will cross that when we get to it. So let's jump straight into this one. And as always, this is packaged incredibly well. So I'm just going to tear into this one. And yes, inside here, as I said, we have 2 games to cross off the list. And I'm super excited, especially about one of these games. But first, inside here we do have a note. It says, "Hi Dan, here are the games for the Platinum Project, and I've included a few spare manuals in case they come in handy. All the best, Bill." One of the hardest parts about the Platinum Project PlayStation 2 is not just finding games which have the correct Platinum disc, it's also finding games complete with the manual, and honestly, Bill, these will be a massive help. The first game we have in here then is Smash Court Tennis, and here is the thing, it is games like this that are the hard ones to find. The weird kind of shovelware sports games that not a lot of people played. So thank you, Bill. This is a great one to cross off the list. The second game in here is one I am super excited for. That's because if you've been watching the channel for a while, you will know I'm a massive wrestling fan. So I'm super happy to say we can cross this one off the list. WWE Raw vs SmackDown 2009. This one is an absolute certified banger. It was the first time in years we had the Inferno match. It has an absolutely incredible campaign, and for the first time ever, it had a co-op tag team career. I am super excited to jump into this one, and trust me, we'll be jumping into this one very soon. Like Bill said in his note, we also have some manuals which come in super handy to make these games complete. So first off, we have a Randy Orton Top Trumps card. Then we have some various kind of paperwork from one of the WWE games, as well as the manuals for SmackDown vs Raw 2006, Juiced, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, a game I think we're still looking for the Platinum Project, WRC World Rally, WRC Challenge, which is a game I'm not sure I've actually heard of before. Disney Cars, there's definitely a theme here. Colin McRae Rally 2005, and just some of the various kind of pieces of paper that come with these games. But honestly, sometimes these could be the hardest things to find. Our second package is also from a viewer of the channel, but this viewer also sells on eBay. So please go and check out Big Roy Retro, as he has really helped me out with these donations for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. Inside this incredibly well packaged box, straight away I can see we have a note, and like I've said multiple times, I love it when people include a note. So it says, "Hi Dan, thanks for the great channel." Thank you. "I just wanted to do my part in helping you complete the PlayStation 2 Platinum Project. I hope these help. Richie, aka Big Roy Retro." So like I've said already, please go and check out Big Roy Retro. Let's jump into these games. The first game in here is one of my favourite racing games of all time. Need for Speed Pro Street. This is an absolutely fantastic racing game, and I'm super excited to cross this one off the list. Sticking with the theme of incredible racing games, we have a bit of a hidden gem from a company known as Rockstar. I think they make Grand Theft Auto or something, but they really need to bring this franchise back. This is Midnight Club 2, an absolutely fantastic, if not slightly hidden gem of a racing game. Sticking with Rockstar games, our next game in here is Grand Theft Auto 3. Now, Richie did say I may already have some of these games for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2, but here's the thing, if you remember, at the end of this series, I'm going to be giving away all of my doubles and passing on the torch for the next person to try and complete the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. But we ain't done yet, folks. Richie has sent loads of games in this box. Next up, we have Medal of Honor Vanguard, an absolutely fantastic World War II shooter. But this was coming from a period when every other shooting game seemed to be set in World War II. Now we just never seem to have any World War II games, but hopefully we'll get a new Medal of Honor someday soon. Another franchise which I kind of thought was dead but has actually come back recently is Prince of Persia. And in here we have Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time, the first of an absolutely fantastic trilogy of Prince of Persia games. Our final game in this box has without a doubt one of the best soundtracks ever. It is the PlayStation 2 port of one of the best arcade games of all time. It is, of course, Crazy Taxi, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the best home arcade ports of any game with one of the best soundtracks ever made. Here's the thing though, folks, the Platinum Project PlayStation 2 isn't just about collecting games, it is about playing games, whether for the first time ever or the first time in years. And today, for the first time in absolutely years, I'm going to go back and find out if I can lay the smackdown on WWE SmackDown vs Raw 2009. Here we go then, SmackDown vs Raw 2009. And what we're going to do is do a nice little one-on-one match. We're just going to go for a normal match and we're going to recreate the WrestleMania main event of 2009, Triple H versus Randy Orton. An absolute banger of a match with the manager there, and we're going to go against Randy Orton like I said. So skipping forward, we just need to find Randy Orton here, and honestly, let me know in the comments down below. I prefer these old WWE games to the 2K games of today. I just think the controls on SmackDown vs Raw was absolutely incredible. I think this is the thing that blows me away about SmackDown vs Raw 2009. By this point, most people had already moved on to the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 versions of these games. And it honestly blows my mind how good this looks for a PlayStation 2 game. We are talking about a PlayStation 2 game that was released in 2008. But this is the main thing about this game. It plays incredibly still. But don't take my word for it, let's jump into a game and find out if we can still remember how to play the game as, ironically, the game Triple H. And here's the thing, I really like the control schemes of the SmackDown vs Raw games. I would say I prefer these to the kind of 2K games. I just think, for me, these just feel more like actual wrestling. And as a wrestling fan, that is what we're looking for. Both the games to be fun and to be realistic to what we see on TV. We want to be able to reenact these matches and to have these matches with our friends and hopefully beat them. But at the minute, it doesn't look like I'm having a great time beating Randy Orton. Looks like we could be coming to the end here with the pedigree. There it is, another match in the bag for the game Triple H. Without a shadow of a doubt, one of my favourite places to hunt for video games is at car boots. And I am incredibly lucky to have one of the best car boots in the United Kingdom and the world right here on my doorstep. Arming Hall Car Boot is just outside Norwich, and let's head there now and hope we can find some more Platinum games to cross off the list. Here we go then, bright and early on a Sunday morning, back at the greatest car boot in the world, Arming Hall, just on the outskirts of Norwich. And as the weather looked incredible, I was sure there was going to be some games on offer here. And this first store was a trader, but they had an absolutely fantastic selection of games. And this is something you love to see. All of the games here were in alphabetical order. And honestly, more power to them having these games in alphabetical order, especially at a car boot. I'm sure people go through here, pull out the games, disorganise them. They were literally organising them as I came over to hunt, and I was trying to find out if they had any Platinum games which I needed. I did get talking to them, and yes, I am going to send them my list, so hopefully in the future they can help out with the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. There is their card there, so please go and check them out. Or if you're at Arming Hall, I think they sell there quite often, but unfortunately this time this time they did not have any Platinum games which I needed for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2, which was a real shame, but more importantly than crossing games off the list, we managed to have a really good chat, not just about the PlayStation 2, but about car booting and game collecting in general. But fear not, I did manage to find one game to cross off the list, Tony Hawk's American Wasteland. It may only be one game to cross off the list, but it is one game closer to that 256 goal. Unfortunately this time I did only manage to find one PlayStation 2 Platinum game which we needed at my local car boot, but I managed to get this at an absolute bargain price. I paid just £1 for Tony Hawk's American Wasteland, and this game would have been a lot more expensive at my local CEX store. And here is the thing, I have never seen this game before, so I'm super happy to cross this game off the list. Earlier in this episode, we visited Oxford Gaming Market, and of course, I could not resist hitting up the local CEX branch of Oxford on the hunt for PlayStation 2 Platinum games. So let's cross our fingers and hope we can find some more games to cross off the list. Of course, while in Oxford, I had to hit up the local branch of CEX on the hunt for PlayStation 2 games. Now, this wasn't too bad a selection of PlayStation 2 games, and straight away I did find one which we needed for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2 from one of my favourite franchises, Burnout Revenge. Now remember, here is the issue when you are hunting for PS2 Platinum games in CEX, they have to have the Platinum disc. And normally the only way to find out if they have the Platinum disc is to take them up to the shelves and hope they do. So far we've found one game here, but you can see there isn't many Platinum games here on the shelf, just about 10 or 15 games. At this point it's getting harder to find ones we need, but we do need this one, Rayman 3. So in this CEX store, we've managed to find two PS2 Platinum games which we need. Let's take them to the counter and hope they have the Platinum discs. We managed to find two PlayStation 2 Platinum games which we needed in the Oxford branch of CEX, but here's the thing, only one of them had the correct Platinum disc. And that game was Burnout Revenge, an absolutely fantastic racing game and one that I'm super happy to cross off the list. But here's the thing folks, the drive back from Oxford is a very, very long way from where I live here in the fine city of Norwich. But there's a lot more CEX stores between Oxford and Norwich, so let's stop at a few on the way home. Our first stop on the long road back to Norwich is Aylesbury, and this was a fairly large CEX store, so let's hope we can cross some more Platinum games off the list here. Now, strangely, the PlayStation 2 section is slap bang here in the middle of the Xbox 360 section, but at least they're using as much space as possible to cram these games on the shelf. And it doesn't take us long to find a game we need, Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2. Now, there are quite a few Dragon Ball Z games on the list, and thankfully we do have the most expensive one, but it'd be good to cross a few more of these games off the list. And here's one I really wish I crossed off the list earlier, God of War. That's because this has actually gone up over the course of 2024. I'm sure at the start of this year this was around a £10 game, and as you can see the price has risen. Now here's a little bit of a personal thing I don't like about CEX when they put the games kind of cover forward, because when I'm looking for Platinum games it's so much easier when the spines are facing outwards, as you can easily see the Platinum discs such as this one, Pro Evolution Soccer 2. Now I think with this one we have Pro Evo 1 to 6, which doesn't sound like much to celebrate, but honestly there's so many football games, it's just great to get these crossed off the list. I'm looking for a game here, Red Faction 2. This is Red Faction 1, but it is marked as Red Faction 2, so a little bit of an error there on a case of CX, but there we go, these things happen, and unfortunately we're coming to the end here, but it does mean we have two more games to cross off the list, as long again as they have those Platinum discs. By the time we had got to our third stop, it was getting later in the day. It had been a very long day. We had started today around 6 AM and it was about mid-afternoon now, and honestly, we were starting to flag, but we wanted to hit up one more CEX store here in Hemel Hempstead, so one last chance to hunt for Platinum games. And sadly, of the three CEX stores we did visit, this was the smallest PlayStation 2 selection. So let's just hope we can find something we need here, checking through, and Yes, we are in luck. Prince of Persia: The Two Thrones. Once again, the last game of this franchise which I needed, so that'd be a really good one to pick up. It's actually surprising to see the entire trilogy here on the Platinum releases. You don't see these very often, and honestly, what are the chances of seeing the entire franchise on the Platinum label in one store? I'm just presuming somebody trade these in all together, but it's never to cross off. It was definitely worth hitting up 2 more CEX stores on the way back from Oxford, as I managed to find another 3 PlayStation 2 Platinum games to cross off the list. The first of which, from Aylesbury, is Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2. I think there's about 5 Dragon Ball Z games. This is the second, but it's another one to cross off the list. Much like the FIFA franchise, there is a lot of Pro Evolution games on the list for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2, but thankfully today we can cross another one off the list with Pro Evolution Soccer 2. The final game we managed to pick up this time is another game from the Prince of Persia franchise. This is Prince of Persia: The Two Thrones. And again, I think this is another final game for a franchise. I think as of now we have every single Prince of Persia game on the list for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. Which brings us on to the final pickups this time. In this CEX bag, we have some amazing finds for my friend and viewer of the channel, Lucy. She has been hitting up her local charity shops, her local CEX stores, anywhere she can find PlayStation 2 Platinum games. I cannot be everywhere at once, and she lives a long way away, and these are CEX stores I am yet to visit, and she has gone above and beyond to find these games for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. In this bag we have a veritable stack of PlayStation 2 Platinum goodness. Lucy has been messaging me every time she goes to a charity shop, every time she goes to her local CEX shop, to let me know what Platinum games they have in, and she has been grabbing these for me, and I'm eternally grateful, and we have some incredible games to cross off the list. Check out this stack of silver goodness. We have a bunch of games to cross off the list, and it amazes me that this far into the Platinum Project PlayStation 2 we are still finding games. Now, some of these games I have found recently, games such as Pro Evolution 2, but there's also games here which I still haven't managed to find, like Tomb Raider Legend. Another Pro Evo game with Pro Evolution Soccer 5, Colin McRae 2005, and some of these are also charity shop finds, like I said, The Sims 2. Again, The Sims busting out for an absolute bargain price. This one is a great charity shop find, Jack 3. We have Smash Court Tennis, because sometimes I forget what games I have. And also Formula 1 2001. And next up we have an absolute banger, and one I cannot believe we haven't found yet. Resident Evil Outbreak. One of my favourite franchises, and a fantastic one to cross off the list. Which means we have another 7 games to cross off the list for the Platinum Project PlayStation 2, as well as 3 doubles to add to that giveaway for the end of the season. Just down to kind of error on my part, but thank you, Lucy. It helps so much, and I cannot believe we have another 7 games to cross off the list. Which means with those games from Lucy, we have managed to find in one episode 23 games to cross off the list. So not only have we smashed through 100 games left to find, we only have 83 games left to find to complete the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. Let's add these to the shelf. I am absolutely amazed that this far into the challenge we have managed to cross 23 games off the list. And it just goes to show, I will travel to find these games, but I need your help to complete the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. Only you have the power to make this series and this challenge a success. There we have it then, folks. That was another episode of the Platinum Project PlayStation 2, and it goes to show it pays to travel, to hunt for these games anywhere. I cannot believe how many games we have managed to cross off the list in this episode, and of course I owe so much debt to all of you viewers who have helped, my friends, my family, everyone who has made this challenge as successful as it's been so far. But trust me, you haven't seen anything yet. We have just 83 games left to find, and they are scrolling down the side of the screen as we speak. So please get in touch if you have any of these games for sale or for trade, or even if you want to donate to help the Platinum Project PlayStation 2. I want you along for the ride, because honestly, it's going to be a crazy ride. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe, and until next time, let the games begin. See you soon.